The tip that I'm going to share with you today is going to make a massive difference. It's going to make a big difference to how you should hit the golf ball. And I can't remember exactly where I saw this tip, but it was a Hogan tip, and he was really talking about, or they were discussing, I should say, the important relationship of the lead arm and the chest coming in towards that impact and that post-impact area. And I'm sure some of you might be able to help me out in the comments, maybe exactly what was said. But I was watching this sort of discussion and sort of talking about one of the famous tips was just trying to keep this lead arm as connected to the side of the body as you possibly can. And I thought that was really interesting because one of the things that I'm always trying to get all my students to do is to pivot better through the ball. And one of the strongest indications whether a golfer is pivoting better through the golf ball is the release. So a golfer who's sort of rotating the chest through the golf ball, what you'll tend to find is that, especially if they're good at rotation, so they're rotating the lower and the chest through the ball, then you'll find their release pattern will look more like this. More, if you like a hold off. The club face will look more perpendicular. The golfers where the arms outrace the chest will have more of a rolling release. So for most golfers, I'm really trying to get them to rotate better through the golf ball. And the way they're going to do that is by sort of, pivoting around that sort of left leg, get that pelvis and that chest rotation. And like I say, if you can rotate your chest through, then you should notice the way that you don't need to excessively feel like your hands are leaving your body in that post-impact area. So when I sort of stumbled across this idea of the left arm or the lead arm staying close to the side of the body, I sort of thought, you know what, that's a really good feeling. Because if I was going to swing towards you guys, to keep this lead arm connected towards the side of my chest, I have to keep turning. And I just think as an exercise on its own, that's brilliant. Keep my lead arm across my chest, close to my chest, and then just pivot. And I'm just pivoting that club along that plane line, like so. Like this. Left arm stays close, so there's no lead arm moving away from my chest, no excessive forearm rotation, anything like this. It just stays really connected. And the reason why I love it as well is because one of the things I'm always trying to get students to do is fast track learning. So if I can kind of get a golfer to change their attitude on how they're going to hit the golf ball, that they can also apply that quite holistically across everything that they're trying to make contact, almost, chipping, pitching, and to some degree, even a little bit of putting. I just think that's such a good feeling that you can apply to all aspects, because when you're chipping, you still want to have that little bit of a pivot through the ball. When you're pitching, you still want to have that little bit of a pivot through the ball. And if you can carry on that and have that sort of almost one-dimensional hitting feeling that you can apply to everything, then it's going to make a big difference. So see how you get on. If I hit some shots now, just to sort of showcase what you'd be looking for, it would be this type of motion. So you're going to have quite a sawn-off finish position because you're trying to introduce the consciousness in towards where you're trying to finish in that post-impact. Like so. So what we're not looking for is, a full speed swing, because eventually, obviously, your lead arm is going to leave your body because it's going to outrace how much you can rotate. But what you want to do for as long as you can is keep that body moving through and keep that lead arm as connected as you possibly can towards your body. Now, what happens to some of my students when we work on drills and feelings very similar to this is that they start to struggle squaring the face. So they start to pivot better, okay, because they sort of understand this sort of feeling. They start rotating better through the golf ball. But what happens is they feel like they leave the club face open. And I think a really important thing that you need to understand is what should be happening is as we come in towards this impact area, you should be rotating that club face square, obviously, in that pre-impact. So if that face is square in this region, then there's absolutely no need for any further club face rotation. So if you are leaking a few shots towards that right-hand side, what I would say to most students is, well, be patient a little bit first and foremost. And then as time goes on, you can start to incorporate that sort of feeling of club face closure and then continue with that same movement. But I think you're going to love this drill and this feeling. I think it's just going to make everything seem so much more solid, like so, coming in towards this hitting zone. And just let me know how you get on with it. Catch up with you guys again really soon.